dabs. The dabs that make you sweat are the best. Hey, everybody, welcome to the 14th episode of Variables. We are your hosts, Fergoli, Pedro, and Sabir Puds. I can't even talk tonight. Welcome. You can find us every night, every Friday night.
Almost every night.
Should we just restart this?
Maybe. So we are high. Hi, how high are you? No. So this is the 14th episode of Variables, where we discuss. What do we discuss?
It's your favorite Hashcast. You can find us here every Friday night at 11 p.m. Eastern time. And if you're not following us on YouTube, which we're all here on YouTube, you can find us on X, you can find us on Twitch, you can find us on Instagram. And if you don't like watching us live, guess what? You can listen to us while you trim too. You can find us at Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, and anywhere that you find your. Is that a little bit better, guys? I'm here.
That's pretty good, man. I would do that too if I had my sunglasses on and could read a script off screen while I looked like I was looking right into your soul.
I wish I was amazing. Now I could actually get this right.
No, that's great.
That was awesome.
That is great.
Well, cheers, everybody.
Oh, jinx, dude. Pinch poke.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Now we got a dab.
Okay.
I am not prepared for that at this point in time.
Pedro's pre-gamed a little bit tonight.
I'll get in, but I'm judging for a little bit of a competition right now. We'll get into some promo punch here in just a minute.
Ooh.
But I'm judging for a competition, and they got me fucking smoked over there. Fucking smoked.
Well, that camera is far away.
Yeah, I have to reach pretty far to reach my
That's
camera.
Good focus though. Yeah.
It is pretty focused.
Dude, look at that. Look what I ran today or yesterday.
Ooh.
Oh shit! This is
So tell me. So you're judging what? Judging is a serious job,
dude.
Man.
So this is the thing. Yes, you are absolutely right. Terp Wars. Pelle Polaire has sponsored me-ish for years.
Nice.
We've kind of worked back and forth. He's got a
who are they? Tell us about them real quick.
Pelle Polaire is a company that makes hash and rosin processing equipment. And jackets for washing machines, thermal jackets for washing machines.
Kind of where you got to start there.
They provide washing systems and whatnot. They provide a manual. There's a book. I don't know where the book is at right now, but usually I have it on the shelf back here. There's a book that they actually compile a little bit of information from a lot of hash makers and put it into a manual. It's a solventless. God, I wish somebody knew the name of it now. But if you go to my page, you'll find Pelle Polaire. You can just go search for Pelle Polaire and you'll find it.
I saw him in your live last night. Superior putting me in that direction.
If you find the polar bear, you find Pelle Polaire.
Dude, I used to buy my dry ice from a company that used a polar bear as their logo.
That's funny.
That's awesome.
So back to the being a judge. I don't feel like I recognize terpenes enough to be like a real judge, So I don't know how to take this. So essentially the way I do is I take what I have my knowledge, right? That's what I have.
Hold on. Are you trying to convince everyone that's watching this show right now that you are not qualified to be a real judge because you don't know enough about the Latin of terpenes?
Okay. I just, how do I argue that?
You're humble bragging, bro. Come on.
I guess maybe. Well, over the last year,
you're more qualified than most. Let's be real.
I'll give you that. I suppose. I've humbled myself a lot over the last year or so, but nonetheless, it is a very tough thing that I feel should be very seriously taken. It shouldn't be something where just willy-nilly. Obviously, you have to have an education. You have to have experience. I guess, do I have to know the Latin of terpenes? No. You're right there. I guess I don't know why I shot myself in the face there, but it's just a very serious thing that I don't know that a lot of people have the ability to do, or the tolerance to do, because sometimes, my gosh, sometimes you just need that next dab to really find that last thing that you were trying to search for, on the scorecard over here, and you just got to take the next dab, and that's where the tolerance comes in, and that's where this comes in, because
but they're also doing something unique where they've got you guys testing one per day, right? Or judging one per day, I should say.
Well, so there was 13. Unfortunately, that's the way it was supposed to be set up. Yes. But there was ended up being 13 days or 13 entries, which is actually really nice for me, because doing every single day I felt was a very big commitment, So there's 13 entries, and once we get through them, so I'm through 4 of them now. So I've got 9 more to go. And man, it started rough. I think if you've seen it, I'm just going through 1 through 13 because I feel like that's the way it needs to be, And the first 2 were rough, and the 3 and 4
rough in what way?
Very throaty, very earthy, a little debris containing.
Okay. Dirtied up the nail a little bit. Yeah. Get some dark Q-tips, dude. I like honestly, ever since I got your rosin, I've been showing Q-tips on the rosin. I've been getting gifted live when I dab them, because yours came out just as clean as mine would. And
nice. Thanks, man.
I mean, this is me humble bragging, but that doesn't happen a lot with rosin. So that was something I was very proud to show, the fact that my buddy could whip up some clean rosin. You know what I mean?
Okay, thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Hell yeah, man. I've been missing it, bro. Honestly, like, I'm like, we're gonna have to do a portrait up here. So
absolutely, anytime. Anytime.
Make that long trip out west. You know what I'm saying? So tonight we're doing a little something different. We're gonna try it out. This is definitely an experiment. If it goes well, maybe we'll do some more of it in the future. But one of the things we talked about doing was maybe doing a little bit of a live call-in show, in which we could provide you, our listeners, with the opportunity, if you're here watching live with us, to maybe ask some questions. Maybe you got this burning question in your brain about the temperature of a rosin plate and for how long, maybe it's the way we should be harvesting our fresh frozen in particular. Maybe it's just something about pot size that's driving you crazy. Whatever it might be, often we take your questions in chat, but tonight we're going to give you the opportunity to hop in Discord and then hop into the show. So it's a little bit of a two-factor authentication. I like what Red Setter Farm is saying. The AMA, baby. Yeah, let's go. It's pretty much an Ask Me Anything show, or Ask Us Anything show, really. But we're going to make you guys do it here in studio with us. So pull up your phone, pull up your laptop, sit down at your desk, and turn on that webcam and join us for this show. And spend maybe 5-10 minutes, however long it takes for us to, get sick of you. And then we'll go on to the next person. No, I'm just kidding. But
let's question, do a dab.
Yeah. Let's do some dabs together, guys.
I lost y'all for a second. I was trying to adjust you on the screen so I could look like Fergroli and act like I'm looking at 2 different places at once. And I lost you on my upper monitor, dude. I was like, they're gone. I had to turn my motherfucking TV on and find you guys again. But
we're here.
Grow questions are totally fine too. We're not just hash makers. We're all growers too.
No,
we're all different too, which is nice.
Yeah, that is agreed.
It's AMA, right? Ask or AUA. Ask us anything.
Yep. If we don't know, we're gonna at least be able to point you in a direction.
And even if we can't, we'll just point you in a direction.
Yeah, we'll just make something up and send you on your way.
I'm not putting together the puzzle in my head on AMA.
All right, so how are we gonna do this, guys? Are we gonna drop a link for the Discord maybe into our live chat? Maybe we can pin it or something like that. And actually, I think if we just is it okay if I do that, Superior Buds? I'm gonna go ahead and drop this Discord link that we linked earlier.
Yeah.
I'm going to drop that in the comments. This should post it on all the live streams, all the channels. There you go. That is the link to the Discord. That Discord has a room called Waiting Room. If you have a question, you should go to the waiting room of the Seshly Discord. And from there, we'll pull you into this. We'll give you the link to actually jump in here live. I want to hear your voice. I want to make sure you're a real person, and then we'll hop you in here. So if you're feeling spicy, click some links, guys.
Oh, shit. I will not be in charge of this at all because I will.
All right, let's try a new link
I'm not
here.
an idiot, but
Resident boomer over here.
That's going a little far for me, man. That's going a little far. Yes, I will dab with you guys, but there is an edge up. There is an upcoming edge. Just know that.
What was the opens in a new tab thing that tacked on? I didn't even see that at first. Yeah, click the new link.
I don't know what it added to your link, but
I copied and pasted that from StreamYard. I guess I should just go straight to Seshly. But anyways, yeah, jump in that Seshly in that Discord. I already see people getting added to the server, and then just there's a waiting room. Just jump in the waiting room. Hopefully, you guys can get in there. It's not like it's not private, is it?
Monster Mesh is invalid.
No,
link.
it should not be.
Works. All right, here we
You
go.
might have to thumbs up to get your role in there. Agree to the server rules.
I just did that. Wow, there's so many more channels. I'm a Discord newbie, guys. Yeah, this is totally new for me. I mean, we definitely did this on the GrowTube like 6 years ago, but we're trying again. And like we said, this is experimental, and we're gonna have some fun with it. So I hope you guys got some good questions.
There we go. We got some people rolling in now.
We do. I wish I could remember what button down here is Discord.
It looks like a controller. Yeah, a white gaming controller on like a. It's not even really a purple. It's like a royal blue purple, royal blurple.
Mine looks like a page, like with a that would have a staple and that's folded over. That's all. But it is Discord.
Like Google Docs.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, very not. They're high on Discord.
All right, so you got to tell me more about this the judging you've been doing. So how many of so what exactly are you judging? Concentrates, is it flour, is it edibles, is it everything, is it carts, what is it?
It is concentrates, it is solventless. It's a solventless competition.
Okay.
And it is all rosin. It is not hash, at least none that I've ran into thus far. And yeah, that's about it. I think it was supposed to be a single source competition, and we get into definitions again there, with single source. But I mean, I'll again underline that I think true. If we're going to go down to the bottom definition of single source, it's obviously you grow your own, you process your own as an individual person. That's just I don't know.
Hold
then
on,
you got to get in.
hold
I
on,
know.
no,
Then you got to get.
no,
Then you have to
let's
get into
do it,
single
dude.
source as far as a company, as far as commercially. I understand that.
Let's not do that. Let's do it at an individual level. Like most of the people listening to this show probably are. They're probably growing for themselves. They're probably at least interested in, if not already delved way too deep into it, into hash like we are. And maybe they're creating their products from seed to sale, from soil to oil, from clone to, I don't know, you guys got something that rhymes with clone?
No, I'm still trying to log into Discord over here.
Yeah, but dome, like clone to the dome. Yeah, there you go. Clone to the dome. I got you. I'm picking up what you're laying down. A lot of our, fans, friends, whatever, they're like kind of similar situation, right? So I've heard this argument where if it has more than one set of hands on it, it's not single source. And I kind of get that.
I mean, what does single mean? I mean, it brings a good question, doesn't it? What does single mean? What does single mean? One. You know,
Okay. And what does source mean?
well, it's sourced from one.
Is that but is that a location, a geographical location? Is that a brand?
Good
Is that
question.
a co-op?
I guess that's where we're back to the definition. But
Yeah,
I
because
would
you can
say,
get into the really big ones where they're still growing in one location, transporting, processing.
you know,
Is that still single source?
I visually see single source like this, like there's single source and there's single source and there's single source, and you know, but the root, if you will, of single source is single fucking source. I did it all.
Okay. What if you went out of town for a week and you had your neighbor come water your plants twice? Is that now not single source?
I would say that's single source.
Yeah. You didn't give them the grow.
I
Now, if you
don't
finished
know.
it,
It's hard. It's
harvested.
very
Well, okay,
hard.
so hold up, but then you could go as far as to say, oh, well, now we're using automation. So it's not really single source because I've got AI in there working for me.
Did you
Yeah,
set
my
up the
AI
AI?
grows.
Yeah.
I did.
I mean,
Did
I didn't
then why
not
is
to
it?
his extent, but
Yeah.
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 Don't even give me the AI thing because that's going to scare me and I'm just going to probably black out my
Okay,
screen.
so
But
here's my thing. And it seems to be a very fine line for some people, and I think some people want to be elitist about it. I'm thinking it's more of like a location thing. And if I grow a dozen beasts in my backyard, and I know that because I live in Michigan and it's already October 20th, that if I don't harvest these things in the next 3 days because rain's coming, I'm going to lose it all. And I say, call up so and so trim company, which is, you know, literally just some friends of mine, a friend of mine, you know, through doing this, right? That has some friends of theirs that happens to trim for, you know, as a side business. And they say, hey, I need some help. I know you guys are getting called left and right. Guess what? I'm willing to pay, you know, whatever, so much more per pound to chop this stuff down and throw it in my freezer real quick, right? Are we now not talking single source just because I had someone do the harvesting work?
so no, I'll give you that that can be single sourced because on a commercial level you have to have help. You can't. You've gotten yourself to a level of which
For
you
sure.
can't do it yourself.
For sure.
Right. But I guess if it comes from the same thing, I guess I can't argue that there is a inclusion that is single source. However, it's said and done, I think there should be a very good recognition and a very defined category for someone that completely, without calling their buddy over for a weekend, completely from fucking clone, from mother plant to clone to veg to different pots to watering it yourself to fucking top dressing it to doing everything, to de-leafing it to harvesting it to putting it in the fucking freezer to processing it to pressing it. If I think there needs to be a special category.
That is called a one-man show, and that's what I tell
Yeah.
people, man. When they walk up to the booth and they see me standing there by myself, and not to discredit my wife, she does support me big time, and she's actually rolling the pre-rolls that you guys will see in Detroit tomorrow. But that doesn't mean I'm not single source, because the other 98% of it, it's these two hands. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
but there's scalability, and I think that single source can apply throughout the scale. Now, hear me out.
I agree. No, I agree.
I have a thought on that too when you're done. Go through.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you could be a one-man show, like pretty much all of us have started, one-woman show, whatever you want to call it, right?
Mhm.
I started a 2x5 tent. I had 4 or 6 plants. I don't know, however many plants it was. Just got inspired by buying bag seeds. You know what I mean? Like literally bought a quarter and it had 18 seeds in it. Let's plop them and off we
This
go.
is where I was going with that, is like you're scaling, but
Right.
it's all still single source, you know.
Right. I think that's like the tiny drop in the bucket. The way it's like, I mean, clearly, yeah, you're single source. Like there's no need to have another set of hands on it, right? And then you get to the point where, yeah, maybe you want to step away from your grow for more than 24 hours. You know, you might want to go on a vacation. You might want to start a family. You might want to do something, right? Or maybe you get to that commercial standpoint of maybe it's some craft micro business. Maybe you're just vertically integrated where you have a storefront out front. You've got a multi like stacked license grow, and you've got a processing center in there. And pretty much you're doing it all single stores still, in my opinion, because it's all still there under that same umbrella. I think once you start bringing in material and passing it off as either your own or somehow doing that without saying it's a collab, because that separates it from single source, or labeling it differently, I think that's the point at which you're no longer single source. But I think you can still like have a single source line while still doing collabs, while still doing toll work, while still doing these other things, right?
I think
it's just a scalability issue.
I think there's a line to be crossed.
Okay, what is it?
I don't know, but I feel like there's a very distinguished line to be crossed.
I'm a lot closer to what you were saying, Pergroli. I feel like as long as everything is under your control, from the grow to the process, it's your procedures, you've controlled it all. It's just like you.
That's guess what I guess I was getting at is you. What's you? You're the head of the company, right?
Right, because you could be a CEO that has sorry, I'm butting it. Sorry.
No, it's but that's I was kind of asking as well. So now that we've distinguished that, do you know every step of the process? And is every step of the process being followed? Are you sure of that? Are your SOPs set in place, and are do you have employees that will follow it? You know, if you've deviated from you, is it still single source? And that's where I think there's a fucking line to be crossed, where no scalability, no commercially, no, you've crossed the line. And I don't know where that line is, but I feel like there's a definite line to be crossed.
It's probably at the point
without bringing material in. I still feel like there's a line to be crossed.
Yes, you're probably not wrong there, because I've seen it time and time again where the more you delegate, really the less control you have, right? So people start making their own decisions on the micro level, and even if you're managing at the macro level, like there's no way to dictate each and every individual action. That's crazy to try to that's like trying to do it all yourself, right? You might as well.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what we're trying to do here with the single source thing. So to get away from that, there's probably a point at which, if you're not directly managing those people that are managing the plants, that's probably where the break is.
And the line is different for every person. You know, the number of people I could effectively manage in a grow and process is probably very different than the number of people someone else could.
For sure.
So it's like we said, the variables, we don't know. It's that line is there, but where is the line? I almost feel like you have to know when you are no longer single source. If you're questioning, am I single source? You're probably not single source, right?
Well, the reason I bring this up is because other people are putting this question out here in our community, and their position is, if it takes more than two hands, it's not single source. And that's where I'm like, nah, that's not where the line is. You know what I mean?
That's just egos wanting to put everything black and white.
It's elitism.
It is. They want to gatekeep the term because they feel like, but realistically, I mean, I could ensure everything is, I mean, we do it. The number of products I ship every day and our quality has to be dead on. You know, I do this at a very crazy scale for other stuff. Everything to me is just processes and getting the right people in, getting the right managers, getting the right people you trust. But you are going to get to the point to where people aren't going to care as much as you do. But at that point, does single source really, I mean, first off, does it pull a premium? Because I think Monster Mash said it earlier, does it represent quality? And I don't think that's the case. Just because it's single source doesn't mean it's better than non-single source. Because you could be a bad grower doing single source.
Oh, for sure. But this is also like
there could
the
also
etymology of live resin versus live rosin, right? Like it's one of those types of debates.
Mm-hmm.
There could also be somebody down along the way that is perhaps not following an SOP, that is perhaps doing it better than the original SOP.
Yeah.
That's making your product better than you would even if it was
constantly that's
single
happening.
source.
That's one of the things that makes what we do great at my actual business is putting good leaders in that are better than me at things. I don't hire people that are worse than me. I hire people that are better than me.
Right.
So we do have someone in the waiting room.
Uh-oh.
Do you want to go figure that out?
Do we know who it is?
Should I? I was looking at it like I could just dip out. Do I dip out here for a quick second and just go say, hey, here's
yeah, I'm not sure what my computer would do if I did that with
I'm gonna do that. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Keep
we almost need to assign that to somebody, that can
we can do it on the other computer here
essentially, or whatever,
Oh, we missed a question.
Did we see Blitzkrieg's question? No, I did not.
I'll highlight that. I saw it and I missed it.
I did not.
Oh, I lost it now.
Yeah, that dab from that goddamn judging competition earlier got me. It's got me on that way more up, almost energy / anxiety fucking level. It's up there pretty fucking good. So I just took a rip of the Primal Punch. The Primal Punch usually brings me down. I have a plan about 2 weeks. All right. You want to read it?
Yeah, I have a plan about 2 weeks away from harvest who turned out way better than expected, but I did not take any cuts early on. I'm looking for some advice on putting her into a re-veg. This is an interesting one. Have you ever re-veg, Pedro?
Yeah, yes. But not a lot. I don't have a lot of experience with it. My experience with a re-veg is just taking that plant and throwing it over into my veg room and letting her go, and hoping for the best.
That was kind of my experience with it as well. Clean it up, put it in the veg tent, and then wait 6 months.
Yeah, no shit.
It is a long process.
It really is. Just kind of keep it healthy. Don't water it a ton. Keep in mind it's a small plant.
Right.
I guess those are good advice, good things of advice,
I mean, yeah, I've re-vegged a few plants lately, and it's one of those things where it's like, just put it to the side and just wait, but don't forget about it.
I would agree.
You might be 100%. Surprised how fast it starts drinking water too.
Well, I guess it doesn't really. I guess it depends on how much you are leaving for growth. We're talking one little bud.
Oh yeah, this is a full re-veg, the most recent one. Yeah, the full re-veg at a 10-gallon soil pot, like just transfer from flower, maybe harvested a couple tops, and then threw it right back in there, and it's like, I'm gonna actually top dress this with some veg nutrients because we're gonna go ham next to this light here. All right, we have our first guest of the night. I appears we got the links working. I'm gonna add them in here. This is Snobby Globs. I have no idea what the question was because I guess I had you in my ears talking. I was trying to talk to him. I'm like, I'm sorry, this is experimental. Good luck. Here's the link.
I could have told you Snobby was good.
All righty,
awesome.
Snobby, what's up?
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on, dude?
Yeah, long time listener, first time caller. This is cool.
Oh yeah, appreciate it, man. How you doing?
Good. Yeah, can't complain. It's almost the weekend.
I recognize you from IG for sure.
Yeah, definitely big Pedro Code Taylor fanboy for sure.
Appreciate that.
So my question's on the current culture of loading bags and whether you guys are for same side seams or opposite seams, are you still trying to get that directional fold? What's the current culture there?
Nice question, man.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll let Pedro go first.
So for the same side seams and or alternating the seams and or the same side fold or alternating folds, I think are they have minimal differences, negligible differences, arguably. As long as you have good rosin bags. Otherwise, they can have a little bit more of a difference.
What makes a good rosin bag?
Rosin evolution.
Okay.
Not who, what.
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
Plug.
It is. Sorry, it is. I mean, I've been using them since the beginning, and I've minimally had problems, and everything that I've had a problem with has always been something that I've done wrong. I can always something that I or somebody in my commercial setting down the below me that like loading the hash, handling the hash it's literally below me. That's why I say below me, because their office is like below me. But, anyways, it's always something that so that's negligible. If you think about when I've spoke about this before, when you think about keeping the folds on the same side, and you're going to have 3 folds now, right? Because you're using a 25, 5, or a 25, 25, and then 160. So you've got 3 bags. There's 3 folds. Technically, if you leave those folds all on the same side and you press them with them facing up, then they're not going to hold as much rosin. Now, I mean, we're talking quarter gram differences here, maybe here. You know what I'm saying? So very minimal.
Percentage-wise is like 1%.
If
okay,
but when it depends, how big are you pressing, how much are you pressing, and back when I was saying this, when I was advocating for these things, my grows were much smaller. I had much smaller product coming into me. I might only get 14 and a half grams versus 14 grams. So those things made a difference,
Yeah, for sure.
Directional flow, that's a whole different argument in the community. And essentially what you're referring to as pressing and then making the rosin come out the front side of the bag and or press and directionally flowing it into a jar, correct?
Right. Yep. Yeah. Versus trying to get more of a even distribution from all 4 sides.
All 4 sides, yeah.
I forgot what company just came out with
Yeah.
with another one of those, but
I saw it too, advocating for the exit of the rosin from the press and heat as soon as possible. So there's verbiage that I agree with, absolutely there. But then there's so many more variables there, because let's say your plates are 3x3, all right, and when you apply pressure to them, they are going to expand a little bit, right? So let's say you use 2.5 inch by 2.5 inch bags, and they expand right to the edge, and you can get them. You can get direct or flowage 360 all the way around it. It's perfectly ideal to get the rosin off the plates as soon as possible, right? That's best case scenario. A lot of plates are bigger than the size bag that you're going to be pressing, so they're going to run over 2 inches of plate, or they're going to run over 3 inches of plate, the rosin it is, so it starts, there's a lot of different variables there. In the commercial scene, and actually even at home, I've always, for ease of collection and again for minimal differences, minimal degradation, if I slow down, think it's so much easier and better to just directionally flow your rosin out the front side, especially when you scale up in a commercial setting. It's just invaluable to be able to pour the rosin directly into a jar.
Yeah, if we were pressing giant bags, it would be different. But I mean, the small pucks I'm pressing, I want it all to go the same direction and make cleanup easier.
Yeah, there's very much a lot of variables going on.
Has there been any? I know I've talked about this, how we've like, maybe flip it upside down, maybe put some holes in the bottom panel. Is there like an alligator version of it where it squeezes from one side just to push it all out the other?
You're going to get a lot of pressure on
Blowout.
the bags that way and a lot of blowouts that way. That's why low temp is very much an advocate, and most companies are an advocate of even pressure.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
As far as the hole in the middle, I want to say, was it Access Rosin or I don't remember who it was.
Yeah, I think it's Access Rosin.
Made one that actually was like essentially a circle. They had a hole in the center where the rosin would drip from the plates. I didn't do much research on that. I
They had
just
a
remember
crazy
seeing,
cone, right?
I don't remember. I just remember seeing. Oh, maybe there was one that had a freaking cone too. I remember
Cone
that one.
Center,
That
and you
was
like
interesting.
cone went on, then yeah, it was wonky stuff.
There's been some interesting designs over the years for sure.
Yeah. So Pedro, have you seen the new Pure Packs from Pure Pressure? The bags?
No.
They're basically our triple bagged bags, fusion welded, not stitched.
That segues me into my second question, which is how do you get the third bag on? And yeah, have you seen those bags? Because that seems like a great solution. I can get the second bag on, no problem. But then sometimes I'll even just stick that double bagged in the freezer for a little bit and then just try and stretch out the end of my 160 and get it over there and try and be as cleanly as possible.
They're so slippery too.
I'm taping parchment, against my shirt so I can push it. It's embarrassing. So
that's awesome.
No,
any tips?
Yeah, there's that. You're 100% valid. It's a pain in the dick. So a lot of variables again. That's why there's a lot of variables. Are you in a cold room? When you're sounds like my cat might be outside.
I am a weather washer right now, so no,
Okay.
I do not have that luxury.
So a lot of times what I do in this situation, however it's done, is I will, upon bagging the very first bag, so I'll put it into a 25 micron bag, and when it's filled to what I feel is where it needs to be, I will hold it between my hands. I call it just praying to the gods, right? I hold it between my hands until it melts enough. Sometimes it's 3 seconds, sometimes it's 10, 15 seconds, depending on the sandiness and the meltiness of the hash. And once it kind of gets into a little bit of its shape, and not all will do this, but most will. Once it gets into a shape, it becomes easier to put into the second, and then just crunch the corner on the third one and kind of force it in. And then on that third tuck, yes, you are right. I usually try to make sure that my jacket is clean on the front. We usually wear specific lab jackets, and I'll make sure that's clean on the front. And you got to put it against your chest and do the last tuck in. So absolutely.
All right, good deal. Thank you.
No worries.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you all so much. Yeah.
I tend to go corner. I go corner and then push.
Yeah, you definitely have to do one corner you can't try to just, you definitely have to go that looked really bad. But you definitely got to go one corner, then kind of squeeze it.
And then grab and just kind of stretch that bag. Once you get the first little bit over, you're good. That stuff slides so well, but man.
Yeah.
I'm usually wearing like 3 layers of sweatshirts, and so I don't put it against myself.
Oh, sure, I hear you. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different variables there. If the room is super cold and your hands are super cold, it's going to take a lot longer to melt the hash, and if the hash is absolute, shit, and it doesn't melt in your hands, if it's food grade, which I mean there is, I press food grade all the time, and it just doesn't melt between your hands, So when dealing with that, it sucks. It just is what it is. It sucks.
Okay, one last kicker, and then I'm out.
Go for it, bro.
Speaking of melty hash, are you still doing any half dried washes, or are you doing full fresh frozen?
I've actually got harvest that I just took down yesterday, the day before, and yesterday. That's dry. That's drying. About here 6 foot, here about 4 foot away on the other side of this wall right now. Absolutely doing the half dry. Man, there's so much we could go into there too, because some cultivars do better, the wash better frozen than they do half dry than they do dry, and very rarely is dry a better situation. But if you can clean the hash up, it can be fine. Or if you're not concerned about a little bit of dirty hash, it can be fine. When we washed Critical fresh, it did horribly. It gummed the machines up. It didn't drop. It was just a horrible return, a horrible situation. The hash was dark, just horrible. Half dry, 2, 3, 4 days, and it's a totally different situation. You guys have seen the rosin.
Yeah, the half dry changed my whole deal. I find it helps more often than it hurts.
I'm gonna hang dry my lime skunk on the way to Superior Buds. That's how we're gonna try.
We're just gonna dry it in the back on the drive.
Yeah, man.
It'll be a 5-hour drive or dry.
Yeah, and it'll be a massive trail of lime skunk on the way. I think it'd be
Oh my
pretty
gosh. That would be awesome.
Well, Snobby Globs, man, I appreciate you hopping on here and throwing some questions at us. If you got anything else, feel free.
Yeah, good deal. Thanks. I really
super
appreciate
cool to have
it.
you on, dude. It's good to put I guess at least a voice to the name. I've seen you in we've chatted quite a bit, so it's cool to hear from you.
It was a pleasure.
Awesome,
Thanks.
man.
Yeah, cheers, man.
Thanks,
Be
man.
good, man.
Yeah.
I wanted to hop in here real quick and show you the you're gonna have to define that, but show you this Cobra milk that
Oh, I saw your photo.
well, we there's been a few different photos and things I've been putting out, but I've talked on and off about this for a couple of weeks now in this show and other shows about how this seems like it's going to be one of those washers. It's like got that sandy grainy texture on the flower, on the when I'm trimming, all the good stuff. And I just wanted to show you what the hydrocarbon extract looked like approximately, probably less than 30 to 60 minutes worth of whipping left.
Nice.
And if I hold it any longer, it's gonna pour right out onto my so yeah, but at this point it's literally just whip the crap out of it until it gets to the texture I want. And so I'm gonna show it here now, and then we're gonna show it here again at the end of the show. Now you got to define what the hell a half dry is.
Yeah, so this is something I got from Pedro, and as I mean, Monster knows, but I have a very dialed in dry, so it's always 60-60. And I'm usually a 14-day dry. For my flower, it was always a 14-day dry, 14 plus. But I could actually leave it in there as long as I wanted because it's already in a good environment to store. But once we switched to hash, then Pedro came up with the half dry for us. we fresh froze a whole bunch. We had some really shitty returns. Pedro talked about the half dry, and so we started doing that. And it's basically literally halving your dry. Pedro and I had different half dries. He's in a much drier climate. And I think yours, Pedro, was like 5 days when you were doing yours.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on, God damn, the variables.
The variables, I know. If you're drying in your barn versus your house versus
yeah, well, and you can kind of fuck with that a little bit because how long are your branches? Are you
how fat are
cutting
your
the whole
colas?
plant? Are you? Yeah, exactly. The size of your colas. Oh my little heater kicked on next to me. I was like, what the fuck is that? I think that's what it is. Anyways, so yeah, there's a lot of different variables on how fast it's going to dry. Of course, temperature and humidity come into play almost the most. Airflow over, whatever container situation you have. I happen to be drying a rather small harvest tucked into a 2x4 tent, you know, that I'm just sucking air out of or through, you know, and that's how I'm doing my drying. But I mean, they could be drying in a fucking garage where, you know, there's so many different variables there as well, you know. So so airflow, temperature, humidity, branch
Air
and or bud
exchange more than
size, air
airflow.
exchange. There you go.
Yeah.
Branch, like I said, size, length, bud density, hydration upon harvest.
Right.
That's a big thing.
Yep. That
How
makes
much you're cutting it off when you're going to drive? Are you even cutting fan leaves off? You know.
So, and that's actually a good point, because for a while I ran using drought stress at the end of all my grows. So I would actually purposely starve the plants to force them to react. Those plants dried quicker. So even in my normal environment, they would dry 4 days quicker because they didn't have the water content. Now that I just feed all the way to the end, my dries are a dead on 14. You don't even notice a change in the moisture for like the first 3 days. So a 3-day, 4-day dry wouldn't work for me. You're muted, Pedro. Sorry.
Fuck you. So is all I said. As a viewer, I'm like, so what the fuck is a half dry with all these variables?
Yeah.
And like right before I stick it in the freezer, what am I looking for?
See, that's one of those things where.
Oh, he's talking to somebody else.
Yeah, he's chatting too.
So, anyways, yeah, what do you look for, right before you take it from your drying, whatever situation, and do right before you put it into the freezer bucket to put in the freezer? What are you looking for?
That's an interesting one. I don't know if I can even explain it, because it's just to me, it's just experience of I know what my Dunflower was.
I have to explain.
Right. That's the hard part of coming up with an SOP, right? Being able to reproduce it, you know. And with the variables, what do you do? So are you guys using water moisture sensors at all? Like, are you testing the branches or anything?
No. It's Pedro Tech, baby.
Right.
So you're right. It kind of does come down to experience. And so I just wanted to ask you, because to see what your answer was.
I don't know how I would explain it to somebody. It's the feel of the buds without squishing all my damn trichomes.
100%.
It's how does the branch bend and what does it feel like?
You're absolutely right. And you're going to ruin some trichomes in this. And I've heard some people before, just a heads up. I think we've said this before. It's trichomes, not trichromes.
Right.
There's no on it.
Right.
You're going to ruin some trichomes checking for it. But essentially what I'm looking for is a bud that is just starting to get dry on the outside. You know, you can go to some of the upper buds and or smaller branches and start to peel them away from the main stem and or bend the smaller branches. And when they start breaking and you start getting some dry crunching as you're doing it, and potentially even break a branch off or pull a bud off, you gotta right now stop. And you can check in multiple places on plants. Check multiple plants. Maybe you've got an inconsistent length of branch, so try to find a median and check one of the median plants and go from there. Just before it starts to break and just half dry, half like crunchy bud.
Yeah,
is what we're
I'll also start with my smaller stuff. Start with your popcorn nugs and work my way up as I'm trimming, because I want those to have an extra day or so just to get to that good half dry point. You know, my smaller stuff's going to dry way faster. I want it to be a little more consistent.
Even if it's attached to big stems?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. A big cola versus, I mean, I harvest everything. It's hash, so I'm gonna harvest every little thing.
Mhm.
And I mean, I grow big ass plants and I top the shit out of them. You know, we got a plant count. Remember, it's Michigan, man. I've
Dude,
been used to.
I'm in the same boat. I still have half a lime skunk out there because guess what? I harvested the tops and got a full run out of it. And so now
Right.
it's like, all right, well, someone's talking about 48-hour darkness in chat, and it's like, yeah, you're gonna get at least probably 28 or 24 hours now
Yep.
because I'm not getting this all done today. Hey, we got we got someone here with a question for us. I'm gonna add them
Cheers.
to yep.
Bring them on in.
Always sweet, welcome.
Hi, what's shaking?
What's
Hey,
going on?
Yeah.
About to
Like,
be
I
my
don't
dab
really-
rig. I think it's time.
Oh yeah, now's a good time for a bong grip.
Hey,
All right.
it takes me a little bit
So-
longer than that to get set up. But what's going on?
yeah, me too.
All right. So it's about patella. I'm not even sure if that's even if I'm pronouncing it well, the correct way. Patella hash. Have you guys heard of that? And like, do you know how to make it?
The only thing
Patella
about
hash.
patella I know is a tendon, I think. Patella hash.
Oh,
Where it's
Patella.
cold pressed.
Patella.
Yeah, it's a
Patella.
cold pressed.
We're starting to talk about like Frenchy, like
Oh, like
school.
slicing the
Patella or Patella. I'm bad at the pronunciation of it as well. What about it?
I don't know. Like, how is it compared to like the other hashes out there? And like, I don't know. Have you guys made it before?
just
Go
from
ahead.
my 2 seconds of reading right now, it looks like it's not rosin because you're not using heat and pressure. But so basically you're making bubble hash, but then you're cold curing it from there into a butter-like consistency, which is still hard enough to slice like a pie. Is that about sums up the nature of the product on the other side?
Yeah, but I think it's like you're using fresh product though, then too. So is it like absolutely fresh product
Right.
that you stick
Or can we
straight into
do
the
that half
freezer?
dry?
I don't
Who's
know.
question?
Or we can use
Again,
the half
unfortunately,
dry.
start getting into a lot of different variables here. You know, there are some fresh products, and again, it would be generally I believe the way Frenchie did it is he washed it in a 5-gallon washer. He pulled the hash. He froze the hash. He sifted it over, and I don't know if he did pizza box or I don't know. He did old school tech for air drying his hash. And then once it was dry, he would then collect it. The difference is he would put it between two different pieces of the nightmare material. What the fuck is that? Saran
Like a
wrap,
parchment?
essentially. It's like a
Okay.
saran wrap. There's the production process.
This is just saying it is from fresh frozen, and the whole idea is to keep it from oxidizing, right? So it's preserving terps. It sounds like
Sure,
but
sure.
it is saying fresh frozen.
So yeah, wow, that does look pretty goddamn good right there.
This is what I was getting after earlier was the slices. Where is that? I love hash art like
really
this.
nice.
Oh my god!
Creepers.
I
So
love-
now,
holy
so now
fuck.
this comes down to the definition of hash. Do we call rosin hash? Do we call hash? Where do we draw the line there?
I see. My line is pretty far up compared to most people. I think hash is essentially the extract of the cannabis plant, and that's about all it takes to define hash.
See, to me, the hash stops at the trichome.
Yeah, that's kind of mine too. I think hash is.
Once you've adulterated the trichome, it's no longer hash. But there we go. But hang on. Now we go into the Frenchie's hash.
Rosin is not. I just want you to define this. Rosin isn't hash.
Rosin
rosin's
would
not
be
hash.
hash rosin.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's a
hash
byproduct.
Oh,
rosin.
okay. All right. We're talking semantics then. All
Yeah,
right.
absolutely. Well, absolutely.
Okay. I have a
If we're
much
trying to
broader
define things, you
definition.
have to
We're
talk
talking.
semantics.
What the fuck
no,
is the
I
definition of
understand that, but
hash?
hold
Yeah,
on.
we're
Like,
talking
'cause
semantics.
we could call it white hash versus black hash, right? Like that is a semantic. It's in the same way. I think hash is the extract of the cannabis plant. If we're gonna start defining it further from there, that doesn't mean it's not hash. That just means it's a certain type of hash, right?
So what is yours is called hash BHO?
I'm not even trying to compare the two. I'm just saying the extract of the cannabis plant is hash, and then from there we put it
If
into
I was
this.
to explain what my final product is, it is rosin. If someone for whatever reason questions anything, I have to go into the explanation of it is hash rosin. That is the only time I generally bring up hash rosin. To me, rosin is not hash. I have adulterated. Now this goes back to the adulteration of the trichome. When Frenchie did his tech, he would take his hash air dried, semantics, absolutely, and he would take a hot water bottle and he would roll it over. So now he's melting and he's adulterating, and if I'm saying that right, the trichome head, and even if you are taking it to the point in which that damn sexy fucking picture was, if you're taking it down to that point, I mean, in some ways you've arguably adulterated, in not in a bad way. It's a neutral term, but you've changed the trichome head itself. It's not a trichome head anymore. It's a melted, kind of mashed together version of a trichome.
Okay, so it's kind of like water is ice, but ice isn't water.
I mean, yeah, kind of. I mean, we talked about, we were talking definitions. So, I mean, I believe it has to go pretty
just
specific.
because the tree separates up here doesn't mean it can't rejoin later.
Yeah,
and
sure.
You still end up with the same stuff. We're after the same
I would
thing.
say not necessarily with everything, because I don't believe you can take rosin or excuse me, I don't think you're going to take adulterated hash and make it non-adulterated. I don't think you can ever go back to a sandy.
I'm not saying everything goes back.
Agreed. That's where I was at. I don't know
what I'm getting at is like our rosin comparison versus BHO. I feel like they're about as close as you can get. They're siblings more than anything. They're not distant cousins.
Yeah, I would say I would not distant cousins, but cousins in the same exact thing. They come from essentially the same exact thing. They're just filtered differently. Everything is it comes down to the same point, just done differently. I believe that they're the same thing, and there's very different levels of quality of that same thing. But I believe they're the same thing, and they came from the same thing. They just were different. They were done differently.
To get to those things.
Is Fergal ever fighting to say something, or is he?
Oh, you muted.
No, I don't know if he's talking to somebody or something. What?
No.
Shit, I was muted. I was saying
We were
processing hash. It's almost like we're processing hash, guys. It's like we're agreeing. No, I that's really what it is. It's like we're just breaking it down into our own little projects or our own little versions of what hash is, right? But to me, it's still all hash. It's just a version of it. Maybe we've clarified it. Maybe we refined it. Maybe we've not hopefully not added anything to it. You know what I mean? But but remove the contaminants from it. Always sweet. I swear you came in here with a question about Patella. I don't think we answered.
I think we answered like how it is, but I think it was more of like, because I don't know have you guys had it?
I don't think I have. No.
It feels like that's a rarer thing these days.
Make a project. Yeah. You could have a project doing something like that.
That's definitely on these guys end of the spectrum. I would sit here and probably not do it justice. I mean, I could take something like this and modulated enough to the point where it's going to give me those slices.
Did you
but I
say
don't know.
homodulate it?
Yeah, modulate the variables.
I don't know if that's the right word, but it works.
Well, I don't know. You
We're
got a
all
better one.
there. Always, you got another question over there?
Manipulate.
You want to go
Manipulate.
on into something else? Or
Well,
you
to
just
be
wanna sit-
honest, like I don't think I have one. Mine are usually about like growing, and I like to nerd out about the soil. That's usually
Oh my
my
God.
What about some
yeah.
Lebanese
I'm like
hash seeds?
yeah. I sent you the yeah. I gave you those
Yeah.
Lebanese seeds.
Yeah,
Yes.
those are sitting on my countertop, like ready to be thrown in some
There you
I'll send you some pictures of the
chippy.
ones that I have downstairs.
That'd be great. I'm curious to see where they go because I think I really wanted to pop them before the end of the year, and I guess I still have time. But it's one of those things where I was like, I really want to get all these seeds that I just popped like a month and a half ago, plus this new batch of seeds, all considered to be this one pheno hunt. But like, can I do that if they're not all above ground in the same year? Is that like legally speaking the same pheno hunt? But no, those are up
Well,
next.
I don't
I'm
hear
curious-
anything.
I'm curious to see what
It's
comes from
all
them.
legal.
Oh my God.
Well, you'll
There's some-
definitely. I find. All right. So when you first initially,
Whoa.
you want to cure it out because it's going to have like more of like a soapy lavender soap to it. But then after that, it'll get definitely more floral and more sandalwood.
Okay. What's in terms of like flowering time? What are we talking here? Is this like a long short?
You're looking at like, for me, I've at least 80 days.
Oh, nice. There we go. Now we're talking.
Yeah, it's a longer one.
Yeah, I mean, the 77-day mark is usually when I'm like, if it's not done by now, I'm out. But I've tested things past that. I've tested Durban poison at 12 weeks, 11 weeks, 10 weeks, 9 weeks, 8 weeks.
in a personal setting or in a commercial setting?
No, always caregiver.
Yeah, I don't have a tester or anything like that. So I don't have testing equipment, so I couldn't even tell you. But it's just usually because I see that it's still going.
Mm-hmm.
And it's for me, it was a bushier structure than two. If you veg it out a little bit longer.
What told you it was still going? Was it pistils? Was it trichome color? Was it the volume of it?
Trichomes for me.
Okay.
That
Now
and then
what?
also it kept on shooting out pistils.
So that's the thing about Durban poison that kept killing me. It's like you're shooting out these beautiful white pistils, right, all the way through flower, and then all of a sudden at week like 6 or 7, you start throwing some ambers out. It's kind of early. We're definitely not harvesting you yet. Let's keep pushing it. And then it's like a couple more ambers while we're still expanding, and then we're pushing out more white pistils, and then also more ambers come along, more white, more amber, more white, and it's like it just keeps building like a puzzle on top of itself. And the same thing was happening with the trichomes. You get some that were amber, some that were cloudy, and a bunch that were clear, and then all of a sudden a bunch would be amber, and we'd have a bunch more new clear. It's like, how am I supposed to know when to harvest this thing, right? So that's why I tested it like I did. And that's why I bring it up, because if I'm pushing anything over 11 weeks, like I'm going to have my eye on that thing the whole time. And just because it's pushing out new growth or new trichomes or new pistils doesn't mean it's necessarily still going, because I'm telling you, I'm pretty sure some of these strains will flower for 40 weeks if you let them, it doesn't mean they're just going to stop,
Yeah, but it's like, what do you do when they don't want to stop? It's like, well, eventually you just decide, well, you're getting chopped.
Yeah, pretty much.
So take it as far as you want it.
Yeah. Do you see a big volume change there? Like in between maybe week 9, 10, 11, 12? Or is it just still still
pump
pushing?
Up a little bit more?
Yeah, like it
yeah,
like
a little bit.
Up.
A little bit. It does get a little bit more. Because I've grown it out twice now. And then this is my third time.
Okay. Because I mean, obviously with like commercial strains and stuff like that, you'll see like a week 6 plump and maybe a week like 8, and then you just like that's when it's like, all right, you're done, But some of these, I don't know, land races, sativa, what I don't know what the word is nowadays for them, but some of these strains will they grow vertically. and it's not like they're just gonna just sit there and squat out, you know?
It's not. No, it's not super vertical. Well, I had
Okay.
one that did get a little bit vertical, but for the most part,
Is it a
it
multi-topper
branched
kind of
out a
deal?
little bit more.
Does it
A multi-
bush out or does it like branch out? You know what I'm saying? Because like, how do I describe this? Some plants, I swear, they like scrog themselves, where some like you really still have to hold down, even though they still spread out.
Mhm. This one I found it scrogged itself. I didn't have to use any. It was more like a Christmas tree structure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I didn't need those added supports then either. That was a nice thing then.
Yeah,
So it
that's
had nice strong branches. I hate
how
floppy
annoying is
branches.
oh, it's so annoying. It's so annoying. I've got 2 layers on my garlic punch right now, and there's some branches that probably are still going to need to be yo-yoed once they get real thick at like week 6, 7. It's like they're going to come down, they're going to sit on top of that second layer of scrogna, and I probably just should have put a third one, but it's like you get to a certain point where it's like I'm done. I'm just not doing it. We'll take care of it when we get to it, you know.
They'll get there. And it's like, who cares if they're flopping all over? As long as they're happy. Well, I don't know.
As long as they're not getting botrytis, that's really the
Exactly. As long as you have airflow, that's all we
Yeah.
care about.
for sure. Well,
All
anything
right.
else for us? We got looks like we got another guest waiting. If you got anything else for us, always sweet. I
Now we'll
appreciate
let
you.
them have their turn. All right. Thank you for
All
your
right.
time. Bye,
We'll
guys.
do another one of
Great.
these soon.
Have a
Cheers.
good
Take
night.
care.
Good night.
As
I'm gonna
I
go
stuff
verify.
my
I'll be right back. I'm
I,
pretty
As
sure.
I already
my face.
verified.
Sweet.
Okay, there you go.
I'll send them the link then.
Did that too.
Oh, well, get in here. Jeez. I want to call him out, but I might call him out.
I just
Hurry it
did.
up.
Sorry. I had to take care of a Discord security warning because we had too many people joining.
Wow.
But that is now taken care of.
I love it. I love it.
So if you wanted to ask us any questions, I will paste the Discord link again without opens in a new tab.
Yeah, that was weird. I had to like copy and paste it into my just like a text spot so I could remove that. That was I don't
We
know
bring
why
a
it was-
monster in here.
I guess. What do you
There
guys
we
think?
You want
Another
to-
one?
Let's get it going.
What's up, Monster? How you doing?
Cheers,
Guys,
man.
how you doing? Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Cheers,
Of course.
So I
What's
did
going
have one
on?
question. I know a lot of times we talk about eliminating the variables, right? Like how do I reproduce what I did? Just curious, like with all the stuff that happens in the industry, all the new tech and just growing things and stuff everyone talks about, what variables you guys like interested in putting into your garden? Like I hear a lot of talk about spectrum tuning, crop steering, and underlighting, and all that other kind of stuff. I'm just curious if there's anything you guys are excited about.
So you're talking specifically on the growing side of things?
Yeah, I honestly not really. If nothing growing excites you and something hash making excites you, that would also be super cool to hear.
I don't know if there's anything that excites me super crazily. There are some stainless steel applications that are coming into play. You know, a lot of people know that I like to rock with Rosin Evolution and then the low temp. So they have their Osprey washing system, and then they've got their Nest, which is a stainless steel drainage and recirculation system. And then they've got, I feel like I should be getting paid for this. and then they've got an automated drainage / sifting system.
Is that the shaker?
Yeah, the shaker. I forget what they call, what terminology
I
or what the
forget its
name
name
of it
too.
is.
It's cool.
But essentially, it's yes. I feel like there's questionably more loss, or at least equal. But the cleaning in a commercial setting is unrivaled. You know,
When you're doing volume, And
It's almost
I
a
like
necessity.
the stackable stainless steel screens. It just makes a lot of sense. You're not going to have bag wear, your cleanability, your repeatability. Yeah.
Man, when you talk about variables from growing to processing, unfortunately, I can't really answer on the growing side because I just don't do it commercially beyond, obviously what I do back here. But trying to control and damn it, this is where a smaller defined single source comes into play. Because if there's any variable in the growings to harvest to processing process, it can make a change. It's just whether how much of a change that is going to have on the end result, and if it's going to be positive or negative.
Right.
So having consistency there is very key. There's going to be variables. It's just about navigating those variables to make it consistent.
Right. That's my latest build is all about more control of more variables. My environment now is dialed in. I have total control of the water temperature when I'm washing. In fact, I just got my glycol trunk lines in, so my chiller can finally get all hooked up.
Ooh, okay.
So-
Okay.
So my chiller's chilling the 20-gallon stainless now.
Hell yeah, dude.
And yeah. So, and it's a self-made system, so it was way cheaper than any of the commercial ones. Now if I just don't leak glycol all over, we'll be all set. So
we have a thing we have a whiteboard on our wall down in the washroom that says how many days since last flood. And it's all in permanent marker and it says 0. So
yeah, flooding with I'm just waiting to fill up. I have a 175 gallon RO reservoir now, so if I screw up, at least I got a drain right in my garage, so I know right where it's going.
I've woke my wife up at midnight going, oh shit, that's the RO on at 8 p.m. Here we are in our underwear cleaning up the RO water in our basement.
As far as I'm concerned, my rule of thumb is if I am filling a reservoir, whether that's my sprayer or any reservoir, if I'm not standing there, I turn it off. If I have to go pee, I turn it off. Set an alarm.
Set a timer. Just say, hey Google, hey Siri, hey whatever it is.
I don't do the hey you. I don't.
I've
do the
sent
hey
100
you
timers
shit.
that have
I know
not worked.
I would shut the timer off and be like, I just got to give it a couple more minutes.
You're like
2 hours later.
So you're the 3 alarm sleepers then. Like you wake up to only 3 alarms. You can't have just one.
I've settled on filling a container that can go inside my utility sink so that if it overflows, it just goes down the drain. And then I just feel like an asshole for wasting water.
So you haven't reverse engineered the hose that comes into the utility tank and just ran that directly to your RO like I did.
So that could fail, and that introduces too many.
No, yes, it can fail.
Yeah.
Speaking of water overflow, if I got to talk about futuristic ideas real quick, I think what I'd like to see is some new levels of use for this plant at a phytoremediation scale, because what I'd like to see is us divert a portion of this crop into the only use for it is cleaning up the soil, and another portion of this crop is used to uptake what we want it to uptake and not the other stuff, because this is one of those plants that will just eat all the worst things in the soil. And if you got a really poor media source, man, you can start uptaking things from the water, from the soil, really quickly that you don't really want to be smoking, And so I don't know. That seems like a GMO type, like a genetically modified, not like garlic, mushroom, onion, but like like actual science on this type of plant, type of situation. maybe for the better, hopefully, you know. But I'd like to see something like that happen at scale, like we were talking.
Yeah. I would definitely like to see hemp come back in as a much more viable product for, you know, hempcrete and air hempcrete. That type of stuff is really cool for building, for fireproofing. There's a lot of uses, but it just needs to be used.
Yeah.
And how do you scale it? Everything comes down to the scalability of it all and repeatability.
Yeah, for sure. I think we got to do the research. We got to do the work. We got to put the money in it. Someone's got to back it.
Got to figure, yeah. Like I do like the idea of bio waste going to animal feed, that type of stuff. You know, it's what I do small scale, and I know some of the larger places that are doing that now as well and helping farmers out. It's just here, have our garbage, and the animals love it. It's a superfood.
And
I mean, all those pumpkins we eat.
Gonna get so
Sorry.
high as shit if you're doing it solid. This thing.
All of our pumpkins that, you know, we decorating the front porch all October and a portion in November, they just got chucked at the chicken coop. And guess what? Those chickens are still eating them. They're loving
Yep.
it, you know. And so
Oh
it's
man,
like,
it's crazy. They'll leave like the thinnest layer of skin, that outer layer of skin, and it'll stay there for 7-8 months. That shit does not break down.
it's
We
like
leave it
it's like my children with cucumbers and pickles. They do the same thing. It blows my mind. I'm like, you guys are like little chickens.
just completely skin them, backwards skin them.
Yep. Monster Mash, do you got any ideas what might be what you're looking for the future, or any concepts or anything like that?
Not really. Sort of just trying to hone what I've already been doing. Did get I grew similar to Superior, drain to waste hydro. So I just got a volumetric water sensor. So it'd be cool to see, you know, what's going on in the soil compared to what I normally do. And I don't know. Again, it hasn't really changed too much of what I've done, but it's cool to kind of see what that sort of fluctuation looks like.
That was my most fun data point I've added in a long time.
Okay.
But yeah, it taught me a lot about what was happening in the plant's root zone. I knew the temperature, I knew the EC, I knew the pH, and then
the pulse for your root zone, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. Once you log it all, you know, Monster, you've got it connected to the pulse, right? So you're going to get graphs and trends. And that's the best part of it. Being able to look and comparing it to your room temperature, like looking at, okay, look at this, lights came on and then it took 2 more hours before this happened. That's why crop steering. Yeah, go ahead.
I was always really concerned that I was always dumping cold water. Like, you know, my tent's in the lower 80s and my res is like 67 degrees. And I'm like, you know, how cold is that? But there's a little bit of a line all the way from my res into the tent. And, you know, the sensors taught me it doesn't that cold. So that was always like something I was concerned about. But it's also cool to see when the plant's like really praying, you know, when you get that like real like, hey, and it's cool to see. Yeah, it does it. Like I find in veg, like, there's like a certain percentage. I way too many bongs to know what that number is off the top of my head. But there's a certain number that you know, it seemed to be like, hey, you know, so it was cool. It's cool to see that sort of data.
Yeah, the one that blew my mind the most was the EC. Seeing how changing the water frequency will stack your EC faster than you ever understood.
Yeah.
Watching
Explain that.
So with crop steering, you're watering in small bursts and you're not really trying to get runoff right away. So you're trying to get runoff 3-4 hours after lights on, and then you get just a little bit of runoff all through the day. So I barely have any runoff. But it does cycle everything through it. Everything has air, water, it's got all nutrients. But in between, you get these little mini drybacks, or at night, you have the big dryback where you don't water overnight. And so your media dries out, your EC is going to increase as you next water, because the water's going away, but the salts are not. They're staying there. So you stack EC. And I mean, you can get pretty high in the EC and the plant takes it. It's pretty wild what cannabis will take.
So is that so your intention is to stack EC?
To a certain point, correct. But if you actually space out your waterings, you're not watering enough during the day so that you're overnight, you dry further back than you should, you're going to stack even higher. And then it'll literally spike your EC. And then that's where you
what
see
is
a
the
lot of
benefit
problems.
of that?
There's no benefit in that. That's a bad
Oh,
thing.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
so
a bad one.
Okay, so why are we not just reducing our EC then?
Because you want the plant to have as much food as it can use.
But if it's got too much and it's becoming a problem, right?
No, that's the balance. You don't want it to have too much.
Right.
But
That's
you would be surprised how high you can actually feed a cannabis plant.
Trust me, I found out.
Yeah. So, well, you have to increase everything, right? It's the old it's the barrel,
100%.
right? So the lowest rung in the barrel is going to cause it to leak. So when you raise one, you got to raise everything. So you got to increase your light.
Yeah, God, there's so many. How many analogies can we think of? It's like the slowest one, the weakest link.
Yep.
Do we believe that essentially giving the plant exactly what we think it needs via the plant or via the food, via the environment, via how much light it receives? Do we think that by controlling that and giving them that same exact thing every day of their life is better than potentially doing a fluctuation randomly? That's
why I switched to organics.
Exactly. That now we get back to organics, and or an outdoor
let me
grow.
answer though. So my reservoirs will go out of balance based on each nutrient because the plant uptakes what it needs. It doesn't uptake what I'm feeding it. It uptakes what it needs. So
you have waste.
That's why you have to have a well-dialed system. Yes.
Right. And without sensors, you'd never know, because in a salt-based system, you're feeding the roots. In an organic system, you're feeding the rhizosphere, and that's the difference.
Exactly.
To answer the
you
question.
can be much more efficient in a salt-based system, but you can also
you could be
spend a lot of
completely
money,
wasteful.
Completely.
Yeah. Yep.
But go back
I mean,
to
I've
answering the
run
question.
recirculating systems with the same reservoir through a whole flower run and never changed the reservoir when I was running jacks. The only thing I did was top offs with the water that the system was using. That was a total experiment. The plants grew fine. They were gorgeous. I mean, it would have been better if I would have had, more balanced nutrients, because by the end, things were way out of whack in that reservoir.
But what do
kind of ironic
think?
how Bruce Bugsby's research for NASA sort of coincides with that, where when you're growing in space, using every nutrient efficiently is the most important part of it.
Yeah, I would 1,000,000% agree. But back to I feel like the question didn't get answered. Do we feel like controlling every single day of the plant's life and keeping it, not necessarily giving them the same thing, because we know that we can change, things as they go along, as they progress in life, but nonetheless, do we think that control that, or do we think random fluctuation is a better way to go, i.e. potentially giving them stress, potentially?
It's totally a growing philosophy thing, man. And that's, I think, a big difference between the organic type soil growers versus the rockwool salt-based growers, is they are trying, and I've been in this position, you are trying to play God, right? Like, you are trying to control Domino's sweet icing.
We're trying to maximize what the plant will do. We can't control it.
You're not
You-
no, you're not trying to control what the plant will do, but you are trying to control every single control that there is, right? Like you are trying to be the
Oh, yeah.
master of controls. And so if you can dial all of those things in to the perfect extent in which or an organic situation would not be able to do, then yeah, you're likely to get more benefit out of that. The challenge is, again, when you start getting the scalability, whether that be just more plants or in particular more strains, well, guess what? You got so many variables that each strain is going to be reacting differently day to day, week to week to all the different variables that you're throwing at it. So
but see, I
Careful.
could
You say
challenge
variables
that
too many
though,
more times, and you're going to get fucking.
because
You're going to get
I've grown now for 7 years with Jax. I use Green Genes formula. I never change really. I run a high EC in my reservoirs. I run 4 different hydro systems in these 7 years, and I don't have to change anything. I also always go from seed. So these are all new strains every single time. Every time it's a new cultivar, and they just grow great. I really don't have a problem with anything. It's just stable.
But you don't have anything to compare that to, though.
Agreed. And that's where I was getting into. Not necessarily better, I guess, but what parameters would we even test to determine what
Right.
better is? Higher terpenes, lower terpenes,
Well,
like at this
balanced
point,
terpenes,
at this
balanced.
point also, Pedro, I've used the
cannabinoids?
control to cultivate more airy buds, and I don't care about plant matter at all. I care about trichome density and trying to stress the plant just enough for it to react and generate the terpenes and the trichome. Like that's why the way I look at it is salts and organics are feeding the same exact ions. They're eating the same exact food at the end of the day. How you get those ions is the difference. And the rhizosphere, stoned. Rhizosphere. Yeah, I missed it.
I'm surprised I got it out, honestly.
What that's actually introducing for you is protection and stress and its own controlled versions of those. And that's what's triggering the plant to do different things. I'm just trying to control more of them myself. That's in the end, we're going to end up with trichomes with oil in it. And that's what we want anyways.
Right.
Just how
and here's the benefit of what you have going on is the more control you have, like I mentioned, the more you're able to dial it in to specifically whatever it is you're looking for. And if that's super dense, really easy to trim, trichome stack, 37% THC, like whatever it is, like
what's your end goal? It starts being my question.
Yeah, and you can, and that's why we always come
Cheers.
back to this philosophy of growing, because it's really hard to argue what's best, because what's best for you might not be best for anyone else, let alone the next guy.
And I will be the first to tell everybody the way I grow is not for most people. This is 25 years of me changing my system 3 times a year. I'm an engineer. This is what I do. I iterate and I adapt, and I have everything that I can have dialed in. When we went recreational, it was a whole new world for me.
It's for like to butt in, like for some of us newer growers, right? Like I started growing like after the pandemic, so not been around, haven't been around the block too long, but
you've got
I
a
remember
you've got a well dialed in
like
system.
yeah, I remember 2018, like tuning in a Friday night at Grow Tube, hell yeah, like that was my jam, and it's like where I really got into it, and then like I watched a ton of Green Genes garden videos, and I was like, holy shit, like this is exactly, I wanted like this level of control, and I just sort of completely copied that. I run the hydrolocks like he used to, and just sort of was successful with that, and then it just sort of trying to change things up now a little bit more.
Exactly. So what changes have you made that has made this system your own, and why have you made those changes? Because that's what we're talking here. That's the philosophy that makes each one of us different out of all four of us here right now. We're not growing the same strains, we're not growing the same media, we're not growing the same nutrients, we're not growing the same lights. Like, there's so many variables in here. But guess what? I bet you we're all happy at the end of the day. So what are those things for you, Monster?
Like I said, the volumetric water sensor is really cool. That's something I've added that is a whole new cool thing. But mostly it's been maximizing my laziness, right?
Automation. Hell yeah,
Yep.
dude.
Yeah. Like, back in how many times you've seen someone post on a Discord, like, how do I get rid of runoff? It's like a pain in the ass. You gotta like suck it up with a turkey baster, and I got it into a flood tray, into a condensate pump, into a bucket that collects it, and then I empty it every couple days or whatever. And if I need to measure, I can go back and measure. Because normally I used to just dump that stuff, and then if like something got wonky and I wasn't measuring my runoff, I didn't have it. So that was a big change. And then I guess the only other thing that I've really done that's deviated too much from the green genes has just been calcium sulfate in the
That's
reservoir.
right. You just added that recently, right?
Yeah, I find it does dissolve if you are patient with it. You got to move it. You need a lot of volume. It's kind of bitchy, but as long as you keep the reservoir moving, it doesn't settle at the bottom. So I'm pretty happy with it. And I use the sprayers, and I've had no clogs or anything with it. So,
that's nice.
What is your end result, and what are your ideal result? What is your ideal result? Let's just start there.
So I guess the calcium sulfate, the idea, the big
no.
science.
I mean end result. Like, are you going to flour? Are you going to hash? Are you going to rosin? And what is your ideal flour, hash, or rosin?
Oh, so I'm going to flour. I'm a flour guy.
Okay.
Although I'm getting to that part where I'm getting okay at growing flour, so I have too much of it, and then I kind of want to maybe put that into a hydraulic press and press it in something else, and then that sort of spins me off into what you guys do. But it's my understanding that you gotta cut your teeth in pressing flour first before you call yourself a hash guy. So I guess I would go that direction first, But right now I like flour. Mostly I smoke joints or bongs, so that's
very dark
what I grow for. But sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, that's what I was saying. That's what sent me down the dark path, was pressing flour, and you get too much flour, so then you start pressing it so that you can just smoke dabs, and then you realize you're going through bangers because flour rosin's got poop in it, and then you start looking into hash, and then you talk to Pedro, and then you spend $15,000, and then you
well, I feel
for me it's like I want to grow the best flour I can grow, because that's what I like. And then once I'm happy with, really proud of what I'm growing, then maybe it's, also I do want to explore getting a press and going that route. But I do feel like it's one of those things that you don't just go head first into, like dip your foot in first. And
you
I'm
definitely do. You definitely do. But what makes good flour for you?
That's a good question.
It's a hard question, isn't it?
Yeah. I hate people say this all the time, and I hate it when they say it, but they say, if you know, like I hear that constantly. But that really is how I feel.
But you got to ask the question.
That's how you feel. Yeah. No, I totally agree. For me, like, it can't be too harsh. It's got to taste good.
Right.
I'm a work from home kind of guy, so
what's your favorite
go
flavor profile then?
I mean, I like gas a lot. Okay. I really like gas. But in my neck of woods, it used to be sort of like, after 3 hours of waiting in the parking lot for your guy, you got what you got,
Yeah.
It's less great than Michigan and Colorado and other wonderful places. But yeah, really gas is what it is. But I'm interested in trying everything.
Mhm.
Do you
Yeah.
feel like your end goal would dictate in any way your growing process?
God, we're asking some hard questions of these guests tonight. I'm sorry, Monster, but
Man,
welcome to the Thunderdome.
Welcome to the fucking Thunderdome, right?
I think like I said, my end goal is just quality and what that means for me, right? Like stuff that I really enjoy that helps me
Absolutely.
for my medical issues. I've got anxiety and pain and just like everyone else. And back in the day, the doctors are like, your shoulder hurts. I got these Vicodin stuff,
have
and
some 750s.
I'm up to the point now where it's I'm not down with that. And we've all had friends that are probably not here from that same issue. So it's that was a big thing for me. But at the same time,
Were you
like,
born in the 90s? Just random question.
nah, I'm an 85 baby.
Okay. So more aligned with probably us on this panel.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. So yeah, definitely the whole pill thing. Yeah, man. We've a lot of us have gone through this same fucking scenario, bro.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's still not super cool where I am to provide medicine for myself and or anyone else.
Shame.
So, I've had
Ooh.
you got to keep it tight to the chest, and the friends that I do choose to share with, the biggest compliment I can get from them was "Yo."
Yeah,
when they call
And
you
that's-
up or text you after you hook them up, and yeah.
Bro, that is the driving force that will make you keep doing this, because as much as you're going to want to do it for yourself, you're still going to want to feel that validation that like what you're doing is still worth it to someone other than yourself. And so when you have friends around you that really appreciate what you're doing, it really makes it easy to continue to do this. Look at all these birth dates we're seeing: 85, 83, 86, 80s baby. A lot of 80s babies in here. I love it. I mean, we all got Google Analytics, but holy smokes, I love to see it live.
Yes.
But Budsy and I over here just biting our lip. We'll just
Yep. Like I'm the old one here.
Not so 80s babies.
I'm
over
starting
Right.
to feel like I'm starting to feel. I went from a gray stripes to
Yeah.
I was just saying,
Sorry,
I'm
guys.
Superior
Sorry.
going to grow when is going to be a full panel of beards?
Oh man, I can't grow a beard like theirs. I just
I
had to grow
don't
the hair.
believe you.
I don't believe him either.
It just
Bet.
stopped.
So I can grow a big beard, but I'm bald as fuck, so I'm shaved.
I can give you some secrets on how to grow a beard, but that's going to require an OnlyFans channel. So
Oh,
Or at least a Patreon subscription.
yeah,
tier 3.
it's limitless, man. There's lots of places we can go with this. 79 baby here, by the way.
75.
Just to drop it down there. Throw it down. What do you for growing? Oh, he's talking to somebody over there. We're not important enough him over there. It's okay, but
I'm talking into the muted mic again, man. I'm reading off these 75, 79, started in 78. We got another 89 here. Yeah, I'm an 80s baby. I'm not so you guys are old.
Yep.
That's funny. I can't tell if you're talking into your mic and muted or if you're talking to somebody, another guest.
I had to go,
I know.
I had to go look at Discord, make sure that he wasn't over there.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And that's the thing, like when I'm talking, I'm totally not listening. So,
That's funny.
Well,
there's another 75, 77. All right.
Does Monster have anything else for us here? Do we have anybody else waiting for us?
I don't think at the moment, but we'll go ahead and say thank you, Monster Mash, man. It's been great to have you on, and maybe again in the future one of these call-in shows. Just keep your eye open.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you guys having me. Thank you all. And,
hey,
have
and
a good night.
don't be afraid to throw up that camera in the grow next time you're here, huh? You don't gotta show a face, you don't gotta show anything outside of it, but maybe show us what's going on with the plants. That's the best way to help, right?
There you go. Yeah,
I would have done that, but I'm on the East Coast and they went to bed at 9 p.m. So
wait, went to bed at 9 p.m. They should be waking up about that time. You're not
No, where I
running them
am,
overnight?
Well, we can talk about
electricity
variables.
is the same cost all day. Doesn't matter.
Hey, but it's
Variables.
cold at night, so use that to support your grow. In any case, we'll talk about that maybe now. Cheers,
There's
Monster
so
Mash.
many
Appreciate you,
variables,
man.
dude.
Take care, man.
Be good, man.
Next.
So, but no, run your grow lights at night. Typically, that's when it's coolest out, and grow lights are hot and expensive to run ACs to combat against. And yeah, I mean, you're just gonna have an easier time.
Minimizes your swing.
Yeah, and
Actually,
I know that some of us get charged more during the daytime at certain times of the year and all that, but you just run them at night. You don't get charged at night.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different variables there as well, but I don't know that they're as clearly defined or have of variables, because I run my flower in the evening, but I run my veg. Well, often I run my veg 24, but it's a lot of times it's 18.6 as well.
Mhm.
But I'll usually shut that off at different times, depending on whether or not I need to heat different areas and at different times of the year, because my room fluctuates a little bit of temperature because of outside temperatures, and outside conditions as well. So there's times that I'll run them 18.6, I'll run them 24.
Yeah,
Done the same thing, man.
Yeah, my schedule's completely dictated because of my work schedule. So I'm never going to look at my plants from 9 to 5 on weekdays, even though I'm here. So I have to set that discipline. So that's lights off for the flower room. So the lights on will come on generally about 6 p.m. And that way also, even on the weekends, I still have time. But I also have the benefit that I can change my water in my reservoir from outside the flower room. I don't ever have to go into my flower room unless I need to touch the plants.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, I got beat.
There's
Well,
no
barely.
and look at that beard, man. Look at that beard.
And you got me both ways.
You see the young buck though?
No, this is the
Woo-wee.
young. Whoa, 91
Whoa.
up in there. Goodness gracious.
All right, 18 plus, please.
Man, I thought of another good question. Should we
You had
go
one?
there? Should we
Is that
go
what you said?
there? Yeah, I got another good question.
Yeah, let's go there.
What do we think is more important, genetics or growing conditions?
Genetics. It's an easy one.
Yeah. Genetics is always number one. You can't
Always,
polish
dude.
a turd.
There's
Yes, you can.
We'll go down that road later, but in terms of genetics, even then you could probably polish a turd, but for sure you could. I think that is that same dude. That is the number one variable, and it is if there's a pyramid, it's at the top of the pyramid. If there's
and it's the one thing we don't really have control over. You can dial it in with breeding, but there's always variations, and you take the same
what?
Oh yeah, sorry, I said the wrong word. Variables. And at the same time, though, too, like you could take a cut, and all three of us grow it, and we're gonna get different expressions out of it. So, I mean, that's the benefit of this.
But why?
Because the variables in the environment,
the variables of it, the rest of the pyramid.
I'm just trying to set a record here, so
yeah,
kind of steer.
That's the rest of the variables down the pyramid, right? So we have environmental conditions, how you water, how you feed,
a variable.
Yeah. Difference between day and night temperature, like you just mentioned,
a variable. Relative humidity,
CO2. Yeah, we got CO2, of course.
Spectrum variable.
Yeah.
Media variable. Pot size variable.
Intentional stress.
Yeah. How big is your root zone that you said? The pot size right there.
Variable.
Yep.
In ground, pot, above ground.
Variable.
Yeah. Yeah. Water source. What's in your water before you add your nutrients?
For real. Seriously though. Man,
That was my
filtration
biggest
systems,
variable
yeah.
here. Since I moved up here, that was the one thing that differentiated my summer versus winter grows, is the runoff going down into my well and still going through my RO system. It was like 15 ppm, but it was 15 ppm of tannins
Oh, okay. Okay.
that didn't get pulled
Okay.
out all the way. And so like you could start to like, wait a minute, why is my reservoir that color all of a sudden?
Yeah.
And it was because of the pine runoff. And so now with the RODI system, 0 ppm, repeatable every single time. So had to eliminate another variable.
So what happens when you run out of variables, Superior Buds? You just graduate on to the next show, or
Oh no. And then we'll see, I'm logging all the variables. That's
we'll
the
call the
cool
next
thing.
one logging.
Well, and that's the thing is you're going to have, for me, there's going to be different variables for there's going to be different ideal. Like eventually you're going to lock in, right? Let's say you're going to lock in. You've got whatever the northern lights, and you're going to lock in. This is how you want to grow northern lights, right? Whatever strain, whatever cultivar it is. The next cultivar is going to require a minimal or not different set of variables in order
but I
to
log
achieve
all
what
of that
you
too.
want. Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's where, when he was asking the questions, where do you go next? Get another fucking cultivar.
Right. Yeah, you change another variable, right?
Genetics.
And
that's where we're back to again, you know.
Yep. It's really interesting to see the crazy patterns in that I didn't see. And you know, you and I talked about this a long time ago with exhausting and how I run my rooms and they benefit each other. All my systems work in tandem to keep the temperature and humidity of everything perfect without expending a bunch of extra energy. So we changed your exhaust that one time and you just, you know, you balanced your temperature much easier than all of a sudden. And it's those type of little changes that I didn't know until I data logged everything and saw 3 different environments working together and went, wait a minute, that's dumb. Like, why is this one getting cold and then this one's hot? Why don't I just exchange their air and balance it? You know?
Yep, absolutely. And man, the amount of variables into that, Jesus Christ, it just comes into working with what you have at that point in time and modifying what you have the most efficient way. That's the best explanation. Modifying and or using what you have with the most effective and efficient way.
I've done this in 4 different states now, and every time I've moved, I've had to completely revamp something in my system. You know, there's always something with the weather or the water or the rooms I'm growing in. You know, one's too insulated, one's not well insulated, something. So I'm always tweaking, but that's what's fun about it for me.
And a lot of times for different conditions, which is generally an exterior condition.
You know, when I moved up here to the UP, we get the extremes. So winter, I'm going to be -20 and 10 feet of snow. And then in the summer, we're going to have a couple of days of 100 degrees and 100% humidity. Oh, and I'll be 0% humidity in the middle of winter too. It'll go from 100%, then the lake will freeze, it'll drop to 0%. I mean, I'm dealing with the craziest swings. If I wasn't in control, this would be a nightmare.
Yeah, and if you didn't have a way to fluctuate everything, you know, if you didn't have a way to monitor and control appropriately and fastly enough your humidity, your temperature, your whatever you needed to.
You want to know the newest variable, though, is the toddler.
Oh, geez, yeah. Well, and that's sometimes where
the garage door being left open for 10 minutes, and
and I guess that's sometimes when automation comes in, so that you know you can free up time and or. I mean, there's a lot of reasons you can go into automation, you know, and then, my God, the variables that you got to change between going into automation organically or.
I really, for my, I mean, you know, outdoors, we're all permaculture outdoors. And we did a lot of research on them. And I love the blue mat system with the osmotic pressure, doing the watering for you. Like that science mixed with organics in a reservoir, like you're just watering water. So it's very cool stuff. And something I meant to mention actually while Monster was here. So he actually uses a piece of technology I learned from the aquaponics guys. One of the aquaponics guys developed infusinators is what they're called. And they're just venturis that are supercharged venturis. He did all the science on them, ended up designing them, building them, and he sells them. But Monster was the only other person I know that bought some along with me. That's how I mix my reservoirs. And he has some cool videos on his stuff. We'll have to show off his video because it's insane how much air they move and just churn a reservoir. And
On Monsters or whose?
yeah, yep. I'll see if he can post it in the Discord for us.
It was funny because I don't disagree with automation because even turning on a fan is a walking down the road of automation, right? Because you're not sitting there fucking, So anyways, but I've always not liked, for whatever reason, the Blue Mat watering system, at all. And
really?
No. And then this year outdoor, I ran a freaking hose from my house down to the garden and ran some longer soaker hoses because I knew I was coming off of city water. We happen to have really good city water here in Colorado. We don't have any fluoride, we don't have any chlorine, we don't have any bullshit, So, right. So I just ran them in the garden, and we only have 6 plants exterior. We just grow really big plants, and so I ran them, figure 8 style, zigzagged around the plants, and I just kind of I didn't log the data. There was no scientific way of doing it except for going out there and digging into the soil and seeing if it was oversaturated or not, but I was much happier doing it that way. And then, that is exactly a form of the Blue Mat system, just really redneck style.
Right.
Well, really, truly. I couldn't, I have the ability to use, we have a ditch that runs in the back. It's irrigation water that is distributed throughout the valley in order for,
is that your water shares that?
Yes, that's what a water share is. Correct. And technically a water share is a thickness of water over your entire property, blah, 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 blah. The water share is, water share is a different thing. But so you start thinking, because it's used for agriculture, right? It's used for watering the fields, and it's also runoff from watering the fields. So it starts to become an issue of what are the farmers using, what's running off into the ditch. And then it really becomes an issue of how far up the line or down the line, unfortunately, are you. And then when you start feeding your plants, you're now unintentionally feeding them pesticides and different nutrients and different things that you don't necessarily want to introduce, so I actually felt a lot safer running and providing the city water this year because I felt it was a lot cleaner than that. I feel like that's good or okay for whatever, for like watering your yard and whatnot, but
right,
as far as watering something that I consume, I kind of want to make sure that I control that variable.
Potable.
What?
Potable
water.
Potable. Yeah, I don't think that would be advisable to drink that water out of the
Probably
ditch.
not.
you know.
That's agricultural water.
Yeah,
No,
it's
definitely not.
It's agricultural.
I'd probably want to run that through like 6 RO systems.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did that to us in boot camp where we'd be running. You know, you're in California in summer sun and sweating your balls off running miles. They'd have this big ring that sprayed water on you, and you run through it, and it wets you all down to cool you off. And then there's a sign after it that said "Not potable, do not drink."
Oh Jesus.
You know, everybody who went through there opened their mouths because they were sweating their ass off.
Right. No shit. Right. That's no. I used to use the water to water everything, even including the cannabis plants in the back. But I got to the point where I just used the irrigation water to water the yard, and then I use city water, quote unquote. Like I said, here in Colorado, right at the base of the freaking San Juan Mountains, we have really clean water, and we don't add a bunch of bullshit. So watering it with city water actually isn't a bad thing here, and it made the little bit of automation that I have, including the cooling system that I had, the automation that I had there, it made it a lot easier. Because my God, years ago, I was spending so much effing time out there doing these different things. You know what I'm saying?
You could plug
And-
lines and all kinds of yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, especially using the freaking irrigation water.
Well, I was thinking about that's what I meant. And your water wall, did that work really well with the irrigation water? Or like you didn't have any? I
Because
would almost feel like you might smell it, like I don't.
no, not as far as
I don't know.
smelling it like anything like that. It was just trying to get a viable filtration, like a little nest for it to sit in, or you know, some kind of a basket, some kind of a filtration basket for it to sit in, so that the pump wouldn't clog, and then or distribute any kind of debris into the feeders of the water wall, which would then plug
yours
up.
drips down over.
Correct.
Is it
and
like a big square?
Yeah, and if any one of those clogs up, it starts spraying out into the yard, and then it's just wasting water and shit. So that almost requires then a manual checking of your water wall, and it starts to become it's fighting itself. You know, now you're fucking with your automation system all the time, and it's bullshit. You know, so when you start using clean water just as your source, it seemed to help out a lot more in my specific situation because of the variables that I have. Dude, we're getting close.
Yeah. Oh wow.
I know, right?
Yeah. Gorski just made a good point that RO water's not for drinking. So we make a lot of RO here, and we do not drink it. We go to the spring for our water.
I think there needs to be a bigger discussion on this, because
I think so too.
Well, if you're only drinking we do a lot.
Just can we just stop with the RO water is not for drinking, because that's just patently false. Like if we're feeding our plants RO water, it's crazy for us to suggest that RO water is not safe for human consumption.
It's not saying it's not safe for human consumption.
Hold on, let me finish. I know, because I know where you're going with this, and we know where we're going with this. But we can't say that kind of shit and not follow it up with the fact that
the full explanation.
Guess what else we're doing with our plants? We're feeding them these $1,000 lineups of nutrients, right? And that's assuming that all you're doing is drinking reverse osmosis water, and you have a shitty diet, and you're not getting the nutrients that you need to be otherwise. It's okay and completely safe to drink reverse osmosis water. Guess what, guys? Have a Gatorade once or twice a week. You'll probably be all right. Like, the problem is when if you're drinking like 7 gallons of reverse osmosis water a day, then it could actually, it can be a negative.
For our toddler, we were told not to by the doctor, because he drinks no juice. He's not on mom's milk anymore. He drinks water all day, every day.
Yeah.
And so we go to the source. We get good spring water that's got all the extra little minerals and everything in it. It just helps. And we still had to supplement because he just doesn't want milk.
I really try to make sure that I drink RO milk.
Yeah.
Hey, here's the other caveat about reverse osmosis machines is they do a great job in targeting very specific things. So maybe you're on on a farmland or whatever, and you get one of those under the sink reverse osmosis machines, and you want to target something specific like chromium or whatever, like some heavy metal that is just abundant in the soil around you that is getting into your well, right? Leaching in your well, shows up in your water test. Like, it's a good thing for being able to test and target and remove certain things. What it also does is they have filters you can add on that actually add back those things that you're removing
For the house.
right? Whether it be like electrolytes or something like that. I'm not actually too
They're
sure
they're
on that.
they're calcium cartridges.
Okay, yeah, because I haven't tried anything like that, but I know
Yeah.
they exist. And it's just I hear this so often that it's like, oh, RO is bad, RO is bad. It's like, hold on, guys, we can't be sit here and advocate for RO for our plants and not pretend like it's not good
But
for us.
that's the point. Is it's not good for us because when we're drinking, our bodies are built to get some nutrients, at least some stuff. It's very minimal things that we don't get in other sources. It's why people advocate for drinking glacier water and that type of stuff, because it's that runoff. It's all that extra, the minerals and the.
So here's another caveat that I think we need to probably save for another show now that we're running over. But the reverse osmosis machines that we use to clarify our water that bring them quite literally down to 0 ppms. Most of the reverse osmosis equipment that you're running in your home aren't bringing them down to 0 ppm. And it's surprising because you think that they all would bring it down to 0 ppm, but that's not the case. And so maybe don't drink it from your reservoir in your garden, but there are systems that are safe to drink at home. That I just want to make that clear. In any case,
Variables.
guys, so many variables.
Cheers, guys.
We're not going to be here next week. We want to wish everyone a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and everything.
Celebrate, absolutely.
Yeah, man. Enjoy
See
the
you
time
before
with
the end of the year.
We will be back before the end of the year.
We promise we will. We're still working on talking with some producer of some sort to do an exit here, so we don't just drop you into the depths of nothingness.
Bye.
But until then.